Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your girl Shy, and you have just tuned in to Candid Conversations with me. So, if you have not already, please subscribe and share my page with a friend, even someone you may not even know that well. But Candid Conversations is where we discuss God, life, and all that other stuff, specifically for women, and I am excited, and I hope you are just as excited as I am. So, subscribe and tell a friend. So, today's episode, which is episode number 1, so very excited about this. Very, very, very excited about this. But episode number 1, this is where you're going to get to know me a little bit more before I start bringing in co-hosts and guests. But this platform is for women by women, where we're going to talk about all of the things from relationship to mental health awareness to religion to life, motherhood, just figuring out this thing that we call life. And most importantly, yes, we're going to be talking about God. So, in the things of God. So, again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Tell somebody else, share this. Please talk to me in the comments. But you are a part of episode 1 of Candid Conversations with Shy. So, I'm going to start this episode off with a current event, and then I'll get into all the other stuff. So, today's current event that I want to talk about, which happened a few days ago, which is the Mississippi woman, the woman that allegedly killed her husband on live. So, the reason why I want to hop right into this, because it goes along with a lot of conversations we're going to be having. So, I've seen the video, and for me, I do not understand how it escalated to that point. And so the conversation that I would love to have and that I'm going to have right now is understanding that life is no life. We're going to be hurt. There's going to be some happy moments. There are going to be some indifferent moments. There's going to be some moments where we feel like the world has just ended, like the wind has just got knocked out of you. Because let's just be real and honest. Pain hurts, no matter the type of pain it is. Pain hurts. But this is also a great example of what happens when we allow our emotions, which are temporary, we allow our emotions to make permanent decisions. And so, I don't know the situations and the details, but what I do know is no one should have lost their life. In addition to that, those kids should not have had to witness the loss of their father. So, talk back to me in the comments about moments or times maybe you have been aware of or may have experienced where you literally, like, we had to be mature about it. We want to fight, but we start to think about, if I do this, what are the consequences of that? If I make this decision, who is that going to affect? How is it going to affect them? How is it going to affect me? And unfortunately, a lot of us were never taught about love. And in addition to that, actual real love, healthy love. And so we get in a place where we've heard it. If we haven't experienced it personally, if I can't have you, nobody else can. Those types of situations. So I wanted to start off with that current event just to kind of get our minds going and to really think about a time where you personally were in a position where you could have made a choice and decision that went left. It was not in the best interest of yourself or those that are tied to you. And if you have been faced with that and you did the right thing, how that worked out for you. So since I'm asking you that question, I'm going to answer it for myself. Yes, I've been in the situation where I could have been in jail. Okay. And that's just looking at it from, this is what I felt like doing, and I was going to do that. And I never thought about, okay, well, what if this, I take that back. I did not think about in full the other person's response or reaction to that. So I knew there could be one, but not knowing what someone else's limit is or how they may black out in a situation. And so for that, I say in that moment, it took real strength to not go the easy route, which was putting hands on somebody, which was however, if it was a day, two, the weekend, whatever, serving time in jail, because in the long run, that would have affected me and it impacted me. And when I look at it, that means I actually like gave away my power, because I still have a choice and decision in the matter. You do this, I still have a choice on how I'm going to respond, react, or not. So I wanted to start off with that current event to kind of get our minds going, because yes, those are the type of conversations we're going to be having. We gonna laugh, we gonna talk, we gonna have sisterhood, all of the things. But this is really a platform to help us navigate life in a way that we were never taught, and to navigate way our new lives as we are healing, as we are growing, as we are developing into the women that we have a desire to be, the women that God has called us to be. So if we didn't have a blueprint, a positive blueprint, how to do it just in general, now that we're healing and growing and doing those things, how do I now live life? How do I now interact with other people? How do I now do this stuff, right? So that's one of the current events that I wanted to start off with. And then the other is a fun fact now. Um, it's a statistic, so we don't have to give into it, but studies predict that 45% of women will be single by the year 2030. I can see that only because it's more of us than, especially in certain cultures, than males. But just give me your feedback on that, because I just thought that was interesting. And that's estimated for women between the ages of 25 and 44. So that's like the mid range. Like that's where we looking for a steady relationship, possibly marriage, like that long term commitment window. So that was interesting, very interesting. So now we are moving into, like I said, I'm going to answer some questions about me that were asked, as well as just shared. So if you don't know, my name is Shy Monique, which is my middle name, so you may hear both. But this platform has been created because going back, I remember being a teenage girl and then becoming a young lady, and indirectly looking and seeking for guidance and help for the things that I was experiencing. So at 24, I started, God gave me a vision to start a ministry mentoring teen girls. And so I did that. But how that came about was I was tired of the women in church, because from a teen until that age, I would go to these women events. All I heard them talk about was God, 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 Jesus, 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 how long they've been married, how long they've been saved, that God can do all of these things, and, how thankful they are, and seeing them praise and seeing them shout, which was great, cool. But I was a young girl and then a young lady looking for guidance because I'm dealing with real life stuff, right? I'm liking this boy. The relationship ain't healthy. Like, what do I do with that? I really don't have nobody to go to. But y'all are in here talking about Jesus, so I guess I'll just go ahead and figure this out myself or try to find another avenue. Then that's teenage years. And then when we get into young adult, I'm experiencing life, right? I'm experiencing life. Y'all know how we experience life once we out of high school and we're in that 18, 24, 25, 26 range. We're just experiencing life. And so still being in church, the whole nine and everything. And I always say, what you see right now today is the product of me making multiple bad decisions. But God's grace and mercy and the call and purpose that He put on my life, He already knew that. So that was just part of the process, right? I had to figure that out. But what really turned it when I said I was mad at the women at the church as being a young lady going into becoming a young woman. Um, I had an abortion. I felt all the guilt and shame you could imagine. I was lost because the other women that I knew that had them, nobody talked to me about the emotional trauma that goes along with that. I didn't know, I didn't even think how your body does not recognize that you are no longer pregnant and the things that you are dealing with in that aspect. And let me just give some background to that. I was clueless about sex. Clueless about sex. I just know I just knew how to do it. I did not even understand the concept of yeah, you do it, but if you ain't using protection, this is what can happen and this is when you ovulate and this. I never had those conversations. No woman ever sat down and talked to me about my body. No woman ever sat down and talked to me about relationships. No woman ever sat down and talked to me, hey, if this does happen. I learned all of that on my own, trial and error. So we fast forward, I'm to that place, I'm feeling all this stuff. I feel I'm going to church. I feel like every Sunday I'm going to the altar, don't feel like God is hearing me. Um, I'm at the altar asking for forgiveness every Sunday, feeling bad every day. Um, body is changing and just the whole nine. And I started to get mad because I said they didn't see me. They didn't see me coming here pregnant. They didn't see me struggling. They didn't see me. They didn't see me. They didn't see me. And God told me it wasn't meant for them to see you because they dealing with their own stuff. And that's when I began to realize, like, let me pause that. In church, there's a thing, although we want everyone to come, we want everyone to feel accepted. When you are a product of church and you are in church, you feel as though you have to be perfect to be in God's house. And that all that other stuff it doesn't apply to you, it applies to everybody else. My personal experience, and I hear a lot of other people say that. So with me feeling that, I'm not able to express it. I'm like, everybody else act like they were fine. I'm having nightmares. Like, it's just bad. And as I begin, it took me a whole year to forgive myself. I remember it to the date. I already knew God forgave me. God forgave me immediately, but I didn't feel like no, it couldn't be that easy. Like I had to work for God to forgive me. Like He died on the cross. He already did. But it was a thing, and I know I'm not the only one. So we fast forward, and now I'm mad. Okay, God already checked me. It was like it wasn't meant for them to see you. They dealing with their own stuff. They may come here dressed up, but they dealing with their own stuff. That's why they couldn't see you. And so in that moment, it was very pivotal. I'm either about to leave church or you gonna fix this. And I started going to noonday prayer and I would let all my frustrations out to God, talking to Him just like I'm talking. And every prayer, He gave me a piece of the puzzle. This is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. This is the name for it. This is how, just everything. And so at that point, Young Ladies of Excellence was birthed out of my pain, literally, out of my pain, my hurt, my frustration, everything. So I'm going to pause right there for anyone that is struggling, saying that God can't, or they're not worthy enough. We ain't none of us worthy. Let's just, okay? But it all does. It really does work out for our good, because somebody needs what I have just like what you have is needed. So fast forward, that's how everything got started. That's how everything got started. Even posted a reel about it on my Instagram. But um that's what I chose to do with my anger, my pain a lot. Some people, they walk away. Some people deal with their problems inward. That's how I dealt with my problem. And we already know with God in the mix, it's going to be blessed. So fast forward, um, I am three, no, I'm one of four siblings. I have two older sisters, a younger brother. So I'm the youngest baby girl. And then me and my brother are 8 years apart. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, like really Los Angeles. Like Los Angeles, because I know a lot of people just clump LA together. No, my city was Los Angeles, California, in 90011. So born and raised in LA, moved inland at about 12 years old, culture shock. But so that's the family dynamic and where I come from and everything like that. And parents, unfortunately, both of my parents passed. My mom passed suddenly in 2016, and my father passed in 2018. We got to talk about that. Just shy of 2 years from one another. But with that being said, I come from a family that I always say is, it's like 90-95% women. No lie. It's mainly women. And a lot of women in my family are not married. So you don't have, the uncles and things like that. Um, and so that's what I'm used to being around, just women saying us do it, and all of the things. And so going back to what I said, I was never talked, had actual conversations. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. I don't know. I just learned how to cook. Like, it's just one of those things we figure out, right? So it's a lot of conversations that I did not have. And so what I realized is, the older that I got as being a woman, I'm like, there's a huge deficit in this area because I don't know. And I could have just been satisfied with I don't know, or use that as an excuse, or discover, find out, heal it if it needs to be healed, grow from it, and move forward. And so what I did is I actually created my own village. So for those of you that may not have a mother for whatever the reason, but you're wanting to be nurtured and just kind of under a woman's umbrella, to glean from, learn all of those things. Look around you. Look around you and see who is in your space that you've already been connected to, that you trust, that you get, oh, okay. Because here's the thing, it's going to require us to get out of our comfort zone. And it just goes back to, how bad do you want it? You know, um, I really don't know. I don't know what they're going to say. You never know until you ask. And if it's someone that's already tied to you majority of the time, in their head, they probably already seen their relationship that way, or they will be honored to do that. And so I did that. I created a village of two women that I adore, and that are still like family to this day. When I was 16 for one, and the other I was about 23. And so very long relationships. They're family to me. and one was that mother figure, and one was like the aunt, the older aunt that you can't really tell mama, but you could tell the aunt. And so I adore them, I appreciate them, and all I did was ask. All I did was have the conversation. Um, and my godmother was like, I don't know, because I already have a lot of guy kids. I was like, I don't care about them other kids. And so she took a week. She was like, I'm gonna pray about it, and came back. And she was like, all right, fine. She'll do it. And it has been such a blessing. It has helped me in many, many ways. So I always say, look at who's around you to build your village. So we have learned a little bit more about me, because I think it's important for you to know who's talking to you. You know, if you haven't already searched me out, you can go to my website, you can go to my Instagram, you can do the things. But I just wanted to give you some background as to who I am, what I do, why I do it, and the passion behind it. So, um, with that being said, I had some random questions that I had people ask, and um, one of the questions was, am I religious? Based on the story that I just shared, no, I am not. No, I am not. And being religious has hurt a lot of people. Being religious has given some people a bad taste about who God really is. Um, and I just don't believe in that, because um, religious folks almost had me walk away from church. So I believe in God. That's who I honor. Jesus is my source, and I know without him, I would not be who I am. But I believe in meeting people where they are. And if you move in love, that's the most important thing that you can do, because love can do what words can't. Love can do what a scripture can't. Love can love, y'all know the scripture. Love is it's really so important. So no, I'm not a religious person. Um I don't believe in judging people. And although in the Bible, like it does say we can judge, but I'm talking about in the way y'all know what way I'm talking about. No, I don't believe in judging people, because at the end of the day, I know what it's like to be judged in church, working in ministry, and all people see you as is that little girl or that little hood girl from LA. And she's not good enough for this person or that thing and all of that. So just like we go to our jobs, we go out into the world, we show up to our commitments. That's how your relationship with God should be. If you have a real one, no matter what somebody say, it's not going to be impaired. So um, surround yourself with people that support you, um, that don't use the Bible to beat you up, that cover you, that are going to be honest though, but they're going to see you as a person first. And like I said, covering you in love with that honesty. So, another topic that we are going to talk about on Candid Conversations with Shy, in reference to let me sit up because I have on clothes. Y'all look like I ain't got no clothes on. In reference to relationships is domestic violence. So that is very near and dear to my heart due to personal experiences. So the different topics that we're going to be talking about, I know that they're needed and necessary, because there are so many women that feel like they don't have a safe space to release and just be honest. And I was having a conversation with someone about this soft era, women being soft, like stepping into not being hard and all of these things. And I've seen so many videos, even reposted some about how some of the reasons why we have to be um, hard when we should just be able to dwell in our softness and, how God created us to be. And that is also what I see a lot when we do get the opportunity to share. Because when you experience certain things in life, one of the first things that we usually lose is our voice, because pain hurts. That's where we cut off all communication. We're ignoring phone calls. We're in a bed for a few days. We're crying. You ever been hurt so bad that you try to talk and you just break down and start crying? So I know spaces are needed and necessary for us. And then when we get in those spaces, because we have been so programmed indirectly, um, we're apologizing for being human. We're apologizing for the tears. We're apologizing for breaking down. We're apologizing for saying that we need help. And opposed to it just being the norm, us knowing that if we step into a space, a safe space, that, other women got you, because truth be told, we be going through the same stuff. And this thing that's around where a lot of women say, well, I don't have female friends because of this and that. And I that question bothers me a lot. Okay. I didn't have a good relationship after about 8, 9 years old with my mom. Relationship was very um unhealthy. And I've had some bad experiences with women my age, older than me, and I never recall saying I don't like females. I don't like women. I don't like um if anything, it just makes me want to help more, because the first person that is supposed to teach us about womanhood is the person that birthed us. And a lot of us, especially in the 90s, a lot of young girls having babies, and so the parents is raising the kids and all of that. A lot of us did not have that, was able to get that from our parents, and especially if your parent was a baby boomer or even before that, because they grew up in a generation where basically you don't talk. um Kids are to be seen and not heard, and all of those things. And so I challenge you with this. If that's you and you struggle, look at where you come from in reference to women. Look at how the women show up that are connected to you, and start doing your work from there. Because I need you and you need me. It's power when we come together versus tearing each other down, or not even giving ourselves the opportunity to open up and connect and or build a sisterhood. So that's what I encourage you to do, if that just so happens to be you. Other things we're going to talk about, of course, other components of relationships, healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, marriage, divorce, all of those different things. We're also going to be talking about just life. Like I started off with the current events, talking about the things that are going on in the world. How are we coping with that? Because majority of us, we're taking care of our household. Some of us is taking care of the household, uh, 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 bringing the money in, and doing all of the things. So we're definitely going to talk about motherhood, womanhood, um, and again, if you have discussion topics that you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to put those in the comments and just let us know. But this is the space for women by women. And the purpose is for us to be taught, for us to be equipped, for us to learn how to transition, for us to learn healthy ways of being and doing things, and all of that plus some, without judgment. Without judgment. But you have to be open to just being honest with yourself and with other things, because where we see ourselves, there's work that have to be done. Like, you just can't, oh, I see myself, being a boss lady. I'm gonna do this, do that, and all of the things. And that is great. You can have all of the things. But if you have not taken care of what needs to be taken care of, if you have not healed what needs to be healed, if you have not dealt with things that need to be dealt with, you having all those things, you are not going to be able to enjoy them the way that you should. So when we're going after things and we have goals and all of that, which is great, make sure that you are taking care of your whole person and not just going after these things because there's goals. It's great to have goals, and it's even better when you accomplish the goal. But I want to be able to enjoy the things that I have, because I also did the work needed and necessary on myself. Needed and necessary for myself. So, with that being said, I do have a question for you. So whenever you see this, hear this, please do your best to respond to it. But what is it that you feel, just off the top of your head, because we've thought about this, what is it that you feel that you need to help you get to the next level? The next level is whatever you already have defined, but what do you feel that you need to get there? What do you feel that's necessary for you to do? And I don't know is the real answer. And that's where we do the work to find that out, right? So, candid conversations where we discuss God, life, and all that other stuff in between, with your host, Shy. And as I keep going forward in each episode, I'm just going to share a little bit more about who I am, where I come from, and why it's so important for me to honor my why. Because we have seen some people in life that actually look like what they've been through. When you are able to tell someone the things that you have been through, and it seems so far removed for them, one, that speaks to what kind of God I serve, because everybody don't serve the same kind of God. And two, what happens when you do the work. What happens when you do the work? And it's not just for us, it's for those that are attached to us. It's not just for, oh, well, I just need to do it to get to the next. No, there's strength in that. There's healing in that. There's joy in that. Some of us have all of the things. Some of us have everything we ever wanted and then some, and we're still miserable. Some of us have all that and still trying to figure out why this man don't love me. Some of us have everything and we're still trying to figure out, how do I get my mom to acknowledge how she hurt me? Because we know mother-daughter relationships, everybody mother-daughter relationship is not great. We've seen that. Because I know y'all be on the same TV I be on, but I know y'all also know people in real life. So having spaces where we can really talk, learn, and glean from one another is needed. and it's necessary. And all this requires for you to do is either show up while I'm live or watch the video later and share it, because everyone, everyone, there's not one video I ever watched that I got nothing from, even if it was like a negative video. You get something from everything. You can learn. It's life is we're always learning and evolving if we're open to the process. So again, my challenge to you is, if you struggle with building healthy, positive relationships with women, or you don't even have the desire, I challenge you to look at the history of that within your family dynamic. That's one part of it, and to also look back at just your personal history with that. Where did that come from? Why did it start? Where's your responsibility in the situation, that just all of the things. So that's one challenge. And the other is, what is something that you need to get you to the next level? Whatever, you know what your next level is. I'm just saying, what is something that you need? I also want to give just some insight on how to genuinely give someone kind of unsolicited advice. Sometimes that's just being an ear to listen. Sometimes it's not you offering suggestions. It's you talking back to them about what they just shared, to ask like, well, okay, what do you want to do with that? How do you want to do that? And the reason I say that, I had this experience. Somebody, I think they text me. I had all these, you know how you just open your phone, you just get a whole bunch of text messages. And I'm reading a message. I'm like, oh. So boom, right? I come up with by nature, I'm a problem solver and stuff like that. So I come up with, okay, you should do it. I have resources for this and And then after they said all that, then the person was like, oh, well, I know I said all that, but I'm still thinking. And in that moment, I said, I have to learn something for myself. Take a moment to stop. Because sometimes people can pull you in. We know that. We've been pulled in before, and we look back and be like, how did I let them? So, but the learning point for me was, let me just listen. And even more importantly, let me listen to what they're not even saying. Trust me, that was the first and last time that person was ever able to pull me in. And after that, it was like, okay, well, you said this. How are you going to do that? Not me giving the advice or something like that. And of course, if the opportunity presented itself, I would. But we want to just make sure that we hear people. You ever been in a place where you just needed someone to hear you, and you needed to be seen? And it wasn't like, I don't want you to fix me. I just want you to hear me. I want you to see me, because that's what I actually need in this moment. So I just want to give you that tip. And this it was kind of like a not jumbo, gumbo. Because in the gumbo, I don't eat gumbo, but you put different stuff in there. Because I wanted to share more who I am. I also wanted to give you a feel of kind of how this would go, which I am going to have co-hosts and guests come in that's going to educate us and talk about specific topics. Like I shared at the beginning, we are going to talk and laugh. To know me is to know I have a sense of humor, and I love laughing. I love dancing. And that's from someone that battled depression. Okay. More specifically, seasonal depression. As an adult, realizing And let me share this because oftentimes the stuff that we deal with, it comes from a lot of it comes from our childhood. Not all of it, but a lot of it. My seasonal depression, I had to one year, I'm like, I realized every year around November, I started to feel this way and think this way. And I remember one year I didn't go nowhere. I had options, but what I realized is I moved away from home at 24. Within that year, um, my parents lost the house, so there was nothing to go back to. And I'm in my 30s something, and I'm at home, people texting me, inviting me out, and I sat in my room, literally in bed, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? I let all the holidays pass, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I had a conversation with myself. I was mad. I take that back. I was hurt that although I get to enjoy going to other family members' house, my friends and their parents' house, I didn't have anything to go back to. That didn't exist for me. And it bothered me because it's almost like, well, where do you come from? Like being uprooted. And I didn't realize how much that bothered me. And I had to deal with that. And I had to decide, this is your reality. Every year you can be depressed about it, or you can accept what God has given you and begin to let that go. So, all of us are not depressed all year long, but it can be seasonal. It can be something that is triggered. Um, but I just wanted to share that, just different things for us to look out for and to be mindful about. But like I said, we're going to be talking about mental health. I'm going to be playing some games with y'all, just girl talk. And the whole purpose is, though, everything is done with an intention and a purpose, because the end game is for you to walk away feeling better than when you showed up, or more enlightened, more open to processes, um, maybe with something that a way of thinking that you never thought before. And that's why I'm open. That was the whole purpose, like, for me to um collaborate on this platform, because not one person has all the answers. So and even um being healthy, that's what God been dealing with me about. But so Candid Conversations with Shy, every episode I'll definitely share a little bit more about who I am, and my why, and just my life. Because I come from the struggle. Everything was a fight to be myself, to have peace, to learn. Oh my God, to even do ministry. Everything was a fight. And when you are always in a position of fight, you don't know how to relax. You don't know how to be vulnerable. You don't know all of that stuff because you're always fighting. So I'm just here to share my journey along with other women, that are willing to collaborate with me for the sole purpose of women healing, growing, elevating, learning to love ourselves, learning to be our authentic selves. No matter what we do, no matter the hats we wear, all of that, but we are 100% comfortable in our skin. We're talking about self love, like everything, everything. So, again, if you have topics that you want to discuss, definitely let me know. Please share this video. Please subscribe if you have not. But this is episode 1 of Candid Conversations with Shy. I hope I did well giving you some insight of what I'm going to be doing. Looking at a comment here, any info or advice for women that have gone through perimenopause? Girl, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about this. First of all, I'm going through that. Okay. Never knew it was a thing. And so in 2019, I had a part. Let me talk about it. Give me about 5 more minutes. In 2019, my health was really, really bad. And I just chucked it up to me being anemic. But then my body started doing stuff that it has never done because I've been anemic since I was a little girl. Ended up going to urgent care. They was like, you need to go to the ER. If you know anything about blood levels, mine was at a 7, which means, hey, you're going to need a blood transfusion. So from the time that I left there and got to the hospital, and by the time they seen me, it had went up to a 9, which is at like the beginning of the scale of you being where you should be. So long story short, for months did all these tests. The outcome was I had fibroids, and I had a partial hysterectomy. So it was like, we're not gonna do a full because that's gonna shoot you into menopause. I'm like, we don't want that. Well, about a year later, I am drenched. I wake up because I am drenched, like someone threw a bucket of water on me while I was asleep. Drenched. Every sheet, cover on the drenched. I'll call my husband so he can help. And I just couldn't believe how drenched I was. So fast forward, I started flashing, haven't like made. I'm like, this ain't no, this ain't hot. This is hot flashes. So I'm talking to my best friend's sister. She's like, nah, you better talk to your doctor about that. I go get lab work. Doctor is like, you're fine. Like nothing came out, right? So I'm like, a couple weeks go by, I'm flashing like crazy. Um, Other things are happening. I'm like, one of the things is odor. Now, like I wasn't funky, but I'm like, my body has never smelled like this. I'm being all the way honest and raw, right? And so I start learning all these different symptoms that comes with perimenopause, right? So I'm like, I don't care what my doctor says. Something is wrong with me. And if I'm not agreeing with them. Something is wrong with me. Fast forward this year, a month or two ago, I was at the doctor and I told my doctor, I said, hey, you remember I did the test and you said nothing was wrong with me. I said, but have you heard, I'm asking my doctor, have you heard of perimenopause? I said, because I've been looking into that and I believe that's what I have. And I said, and it starts at this age and all that. He looks at me and says, oh, yeah, that's very possible. Sir, do you think you want to say that instead of just saying, oh, your labs came back and you're fine? This is where we have to learn to advocate for ourselves. So, with that being said, randomly one day, I'm on IG and 2 pages come up with 2 women. That's all they talk about all day. They educate on that. So I follow both of them. I'm like, how ironic is that? But I follow them, like I said, and I had started looking it up, and I'm like, okay, all these changes that's happening to my body, it is this, and this is what I'm talking about. No, nobody ever taught. Okay, nobody ever talked to me about sex. Nobody ever talked to me about literally how you really get pregnant. No, I'm ignorant to that. And because I'm very smart and street savvy in other ways, nobody like fathomed that. I wasn't a fast girl out here just having sex and getting knocked up. I did not understand it. So we fast forward, like I said, majority of my family is 95% women. Nobody has ever talked to me about that. The only thing I hear is I'm having a hot flash. Nobody. This is why this stuff is needed and necessary. So we can feel like there's no support. We're not crazy. So we can get educated and start having these conversations. It's like depression without the depression because I know I have joy up in here. Fatigue is horrible. Horrible. Um, so this is what I'm talking about. You know, I like to say I have friends in high places. They got the degrees and all of that stuff. But so people that are going to be coming on and educating in specific areas to talk to us about this. And I really do want to talk about women's health, especially in the pandemic, because I remember feeling like, well, it probably was in general to just everybody, but with a lot of us being the cornerstone in our families and things going on in our bodies and changing, and we don't know what's going on, we automatically get that concern. Am I going to be here? Am I going to be here for my babies? Like all of the things, those are the conversations that we need to have. So we no longer are in fear about it, but we can educate ourselves about it. We can embrace what's going to come. Because, girl, I was not expecting to be cute and flashing, but I am. And that's what it is. And I have to embrace that. Life happens, right? So I'm glad you brought that up. I am so glad you brought that up. But yes, it is a real thing. I never heard about it before. Only heard about menopause, and they tell you, hey, you ain't 50 yet, and yada yada yada. So, but really medically advocating for yourself, being intentional about how you can change your diet and do different things, and so I'm really glad you brought that question up because sis, it's real out here in these streets. And when ain't nobody talking and we going through our own things, let me tell you. But that is something that I want to talk about. Being having being afflicted and just still having to do life, you know. Because I didn't know what was going on me, but literally I was at the point of like passing out. I wouldn't even drive with the kids in the car because that's how bad it got. And then when I'm gonna say this and then I'm done. So for me, dealing with all the medical stuff that was happening, and then having my mom that passed suddenly, right? Then you start looking into the family history. And then my dad, who was sick, we knew he was sick. Then it's like, oh, okay, is this like, I got to make the doctors aware of this. I have this in my family, I have that in my family. And what is that going to look like? How is that going to affect me? Is it going to affect me? We're human. We think about this stuff. We know Jesus on the throne, but we think about this stuff and we have to process it through so that we're able to release it. So we're able to do what's needed and necessary and trust that we are going to equip ourselves for whatever may happen or may not happen. But it's a real thing. And even those of us that um, have experienced issues with, our mates or our kids, just that whole, we don't talk about that stuff. But on Candid Conversations with Shy, we are, because with all this education and knowledge that we're able to get, um, this is not even asking for much. Just tell me what to expect as a woman. I may not experience what you experience, but just tell me what to expect so I kind of can, guide myself. In this journey of not having that as a young girl, I'm raising a daughter. And so it just makes me be that much more intentional about talking about everything, honestly. No matter how young, just being able to um, put the conversation in a way that's understood, at the age level. But I don't want to miss nothing. I am, we're human, but I want to be able to at least meet her where she's at in the areas that I didn't have it, and I really really needed it. So thank you for asking that, because we're going to be talking about that stuff and more. That stuff and more. So thank you for joining me Episode 1 of Candid Conversations with Shy. Again, next episode, I'm going to share some stuff as well, but I'm going to have some specific topics that I'm going to talk about. So that's an opportunity for you to be able to write things down or just go back to the replay. But whatever you do, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and make sure that you tell a friend, even an enemy, right? Just tell somebody to meet me here right now on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we're going to be discussing God, life, and all that other stuff in between. So, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week. And if you want to find out how to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at SHYMOWRIGHT, Shymo Wright. And you can also visit my website at shariawright.com. And matter of fact, do that. Stay connected with me if you're not. And then that way you will know what's coming for next week's episode. So I'll see you in these social media streets. Y'all have a good night and all that other stuff. I'm really happy about that question though, because it was needed. So good night. I appreciate y'all, and please make sure y'all save this. Not save it, share it. Yeah, make sure y'all share it. Bye.